Hi there, Ralph Plowman here again. Today I'm going to talk about stress and hypnotherapy and how it can help. Stressful situations, trauma experiences, difficult interpersonal relationships. Anxiety has numerous triggers. We feel the trigger and then automatically our brain responds, our thoughts race, our palms sweat, and we feel the anxiety in our bodies. These triggers are held in the subconscious. We might not even know they exist. However, when we experience stressful stimulus, our brains go to the subconscious to know how to respond. In other words, anxiety is a conditioned response. So how does hypnotherapy help anxiety? Hypnotherapy and hypnosis allow us to access the subconscious. Through hypnosis, we can enter a deep, relaxed state of heightened awareness. Once we're relaxed, we can use suggestions to update how the subconscious responds to stress. In other words, hypnosis for anxiety allows us to gain greater control over our responses. And the good news, hypnosis has been shown to offer real relief for anxiety sufferers. For example, the British Psychological Society recognises hypnosis as a therapy for anxiety. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is hypnosis? That's people on stage doing funny things. How is that effective for anxiety, and how does it work? Well, hypnotherapy is vastly different from the stuff that you've probably seen on television. And if you experience anxiety on a regular basis, you're not alone. Anxiety is one of the most common mental health conditions in the world. In the US alone, anxiety affects an estimated 400 million adults, which is nearly 20% of the population. Yet, even though many treatment options are available, just 1/3 of anxiety sufferers actively seek treatment, according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. In other words, many adults in the US and around the world force themselves to live with anxiety. They manage their anxiety, but they never truly free themselves of anxiety's burden. Psychologists speculate that anxiety is a learned behaviour. Our minds have natural defence mechanisms that typically manifest as emotions like fear or panic. And over time, our subconscious mind learns to amplify these defence mechanisms. Essentially, the fight or flight response gets triggered even when we aren't actually in physical danger. We feel panic or fear in a social setting, due to, public speaking, or when we make a mistake at work. And then we feel extreme anxiety. Our response doesn't fit the situation. Often these responses are based on automatic subconscious thinking. We may have had a negative experience with public speaking before, and our subconscious mind learned to induce anxiety to protect us from having to have a similar experience in the future if it presents itself. With repetition, these feelings become more and more ingrained in our minds to the point of being debilitating. Hypnotherapy empowers people to examine and explore these subconscious automatic thoughts, and people through hypnosis can learn to recognize them and actively change them. For example, Richard Branson, a virgin, had a negative experience with public speaking early in his life, and he avoided public speaking for many, many years afterwards. But through hypnosis, he was able to positively tie positive emotions to public speaking and to change his mental state around it, and also his automatic responses to it. So, in short, hypnosis helps us get to the root cause of the anxiety. It allows us to examine these automatic defense mechanisms, and we can update them to remove the fear, panic, or irrational thinking that fuels anxiety in us. Our minds are complex, and we don't often recognize that our rational, critical thinking minds aren't often in control. The rational mind takes a backseat to the subconscious. The subconscious mind informs and influences many of our thoughts. For example, when you feel cold, your brain reacts to the stimuli. In other words, we don't consciously think, I feel cold. Instead, that thought is created automatically by the subconscious. These automatic thoughts are based on our entire life experiences. When anxiety controls our life, it's a similar feeling to feeling cold. We experience a stimuli that triggers an automatic response of fear and panic in us. Traditional therapeutic techniques tend to provide strategies to manage these automatic thoughts. We might learn to control the fear, for example, through controlling our breathing. You slow our body's reaction down. But with a lot of traditional therapies, these negative triggers still exist. That's why many traditional treatments are ineffective and don't provide lasting help. the root cause of the anxiety still exists, it's still there. With hypnotherapy, you can begin to update the information in your subconscious that's telling you to feel fear or panic in certain situations. For example, when you're using hypnosis for social anxiety, you might examine past negative experiences. We can update the negative emotions that we have for social situations, or we can update the self-criticism that holds you back in social situations. For example, in public speaking, it induces fear or anxiety for someone. Often the underlying cause is a fear of failure. Without removing that underlying fear, the anxiety will always remain in place. It may become a bit more manageable, but the fear itself is always there. It's still a burden, and even if it is managed, it can surface months or years late in the future. Many people who fear public speaking do, for example, learn to speak confidently in front of crowds. Hypnosis works by helping people examine the subconscious. In a state of hypnosis, a highly relaxed, aware state, the mind and the body are at ease. In this state, we're able to bypass our critical thoughts and we can move right to the subconscious. We can look at our automatic thoughts. Hypnosis for anxiety might help us, at the beginning of a session, you might be asked to describe your feelings that are triggered by anxiety. These might include fear, panic, humiliation, shame, whatever. Starting at that point, you begin to isolate and identify your triggers. You might be asked to find out where these feelings originate from in your body. These might include dryness in the throat, or tightness in the stomach. These emotions, that feeling of being cold, they're triggered automatically based on past experiences. During a hypnotherapy session, you can explore the experiences that initially triggered your anxiety. If you have flight anxiety, for example, you might explore that first negative flying experience. Perhaps you were, hurt some turbulence and that just completely wrecked any thought of ever flying again. If you experience stress at work, say you've had a really bad project that you've done, you might explore your earliest experience of that work-related stress. Take it back to the very earliest thing, perhaps even at school. This will help you get down to what's actually triggering the irrational fear and stoking the emotions that you experience when in an anxiety-inducing situation. Our minds are very fast learners, and one negative experience can affect us forever. And hypnosis provides a means to reframe these negative experiences. For example, as I mentioned a bit earlier, someone, say, with flight anxiety might have developed this anxiety after a rough flight. As a result, they see every flight as life-threatening. And with hypnotherapy, we can reframe that experience and see that they were actually safe the whole time. One hypnotherapy strategy involves reimagining a negative experience. For example, with a negative flight experience, you might remember being calm on a flight and safe and having a really pleasant time. This technique helps you to release the negative experience from your mind. And as a result, your subconscious relies on it less as a frame of reference for your behavior and adapts the more positive one. You'll start with a self-accounting of your anxiety, and you'll examine what's causing it, how it manifests, and your experiences with it. With a hypnotherapist, this takes the form of an interview. You'll follow steps to reach a very relaxed state of mind. This might include breathing, closing your eyes, visualization. And once you've reached this state, you can begin to examine and reframe your subconscious thinking. Options for subconscious work include suggestion therapy or visualization. And you'll take steps to reach a relaxed state of mind. Many people see positive results after their first hypnotherapy session, though sometimes additional work is required depending on the strength of the anxieties in that particular person. These usually includes additional sessions. And after a few of these hypnotherapy sessions, you begin to become an expert at identifying those natural defense mechanisms, and you'll be given tools for pushing fears, anxiety from your hypnotherapist out of your mind when you get those certain situations. As a result, hypnotherapy helps you break free from the repetitive cycle and completely remove them from your subconscious mind. And over time, you completely shed those default settings and reprogram your mind to respond better to stressful situations. Well, thanks for listening. If you do have any questions about this, feel free to contact me. And if you do have stress and want to reach out, again, you know what to contact me either here on YouTube or Facebook. Have a good day.